All right, guys. So Joe Biden has been doing a bunch of interviews post Trump's assassination attempt. He gave 3 speeches basically saying political violence is wrong and bad and don't do it, right? Murder is bad was the main theme in his first 3 appearances post the Trump assassination attempt. Thank you, Joe. Very deep. You know, I was struggling with that one until you reminded me that murder is bad. We really appreciate that. But since then, he's done an interview with Lester Holt. It was a bit of a disaster. He did an NAACP speech. It was a bit of a disaster. And then now he also did an interview with Speedy. Maybe I'm a boomer, but I don't quite know who he is. Apparently, he's big somewhere. I don't know where. But this moment right here that I'm about to show you is really getting under people's skin because not only is it classic Biden, like barely knows what's going on, could barely string a sentence together, really struggling. Also, the content of what he says here is basically like, Palestinians should thank me because I've been their biggest champion. You literally can't make this stuff up. All right, so let's watch and we'll break it down.
But you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. And the Zionist is about whether or not Israel is a safe haven for Jews because of their history of how they've been persecuted.
Are you a Zionist?
Yes. Now you'll be able to make a lot out of that because people don't know what a Zionist is. Do you know what a Zionist is?
I just ask questions, I don't answer.
By the way, I'm the guy that did more for the Palestinian community than anybody. I'm the guy that opened up all the assets. I'm the guy that made sure that I got the Egyptians to open the border to let goods through, medicine and food. But what's happening is, and I'm the guy that's been able to pull together the Arab states to agree to help the Palestinians with food and shelter. I'm the guy, and so it's not, I mean, I've been...
Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ. Where do I begin? Oh my God. Joe, there's a reason why your nickname now on the left, among people who many of them voted for you in 2020, there's a reason why your nickname is now Genocide Joe. That's the simplest way I could react to this. You are responsible for arming and funding the far-right government of Israel, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, a war criminal psychopath who has zero interest in peace. And you know what? All the money you gave them, all the weapons you gave them, 500-pound bombs, 2,000-pound bombs, that's all been used to level Gaza. Gaza barely exists anymore. Hundreds of thousands of homes have been wiped off the map. North Gaza is no longer inhabitable. The food, the water, the electricity, all that stuff has been shut off. And Israel did it like that. With your backing, with your blessing, with your support. And so your legacy is not only, hey, you're not the guy who helped Palestinians. You help lead to a genocide of the Palestinians. By the way, don't take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. I always want you to go do your own reading, do your own fact checking. But according to Euromed Monitor, the human rights group, they say there's been 47,000 dead Palestinians. About 90% of them are innocent civilians. And then you have The Lancet, the medical journal, came out with a study the other week. And according to their estimates, they say it's conservative to say 186,000 Palestinians have been killed. 186,000. Why? Because when you're starving them and you're making them go thirsty and you keep arming and funding the government that is carpet bombing their children, that's kind of what tends to happen. By the way, even though this is now no longer in the news every single day, understand that just this last week, Israel bombed 5 schools. They've bombed 31 hospitals, 5 schools just this week. They did a controlled demolition of a university in Gaza. This is what they spend all their time doing. Destroying all of civil society. Starving them. Not allowing in water. And people are going to die in those conditions. Of course. And that's what's happening. And he has the nerve to say, well, I don't know. I tried to get, the border open there so they can get some more food. Oh, would you look at that? Israel's still blocking the food. But I tried to get the border open over there, so I'm the guy who unfroze their funds. And, well, why the fuck do we have access to their fucking funds anyway? And why does Israel get a say in their fucking funds anyway? Right? This is proof that they're occupied. This is proof that they're not a freed people. And you're bragging about the little crumbs that you gave them? as Israel steals all the bread? Here, you can maybe have some crumbs. And by the way, I'm going to limit the number of crumbs now, too. Put you on a diet. Because all of you are to blame for Hamas. There's 2.3 million people in Gaza, or there were. There's 30,000 Hamas members. You do the math on that. You do the math on that. You wonder why the experts say it's like 90% civilian death rate? He has some fucking nerve, man. Patting himself on the back for his biggest atrocity, for his worst failure. He will go down in history as horrifically evil, specifically because of this. Look, prior to Gaza, we were all having the conversation about Joe Biden as the best president in our lifetimes. I was certainly having that conversation. When you look at the domestic agenda, when you look at the NLRB, the pro-union legislation, the 800,000 manufacturing jobs that were created, the executive orders which he was signing, the pulling out of Afghanistan, the limiting the drone war massively. You look at all that stuff, we were saying, hey man, he already surpassed Barack Obama. He's way better than Barack Obama was as president. Now, after the Gaza genocide and the narcissism of refusing to step aside, even though he's cognitively declining, now, he's plummeted way below where Biden is on the power ranking. Excuse me, where Obama is on the power ranking. All right, so here we go. Now I got one more for you from this interview. Look, again, every time Joe speaks, you get at least 2 moments. Every time he speaks, at least 2 moments that are facepalm worthy. Now, if one of these things were to happen once a month, shit, even once a week, maybe we could overlook it. But when you have him calling Vladimir Zelensky President Putin, as he did, when he called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump, as he did, when he said battle box repeatedly instead of ballot box, when he said former Trump instead of former President Trump, the stuff I'm giving you is all from like the last week, bro. That's what I'm giving you. Well, we got another one to add to the list. Remember when he was trying to say, I'm going to cap rent increases at 5%, and he said, I'm going to cap rent at $55? All right, we got one more. Add this one to the list.
In 2020, when Barack asked me to be vice president, I joined him, which is a great honor. And
he said in 2020 when Barack asked me to be vice president. In 2020 when Barack asked me to be vice president.
But after that, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. In 2020, when Barack asked me to be vice president.
Bro, that was all the way back in 2008, bro. We probably asked him in 07, right? No, maybe 08, probably 08. Off by just a little bit there. Again, if it was a one-time thing, it's one thing. It happens every time. It happens every time. And of course, not a single one has been as bad as we beat Medicare. He was talking about tax policy, then he meandered into COVID, then his brain shit the bed and he said, we finally beat Medicare. What he was trying to say is, I cut drug prices. But he couldn't find those words. He couldn't find, I cut drug prices. So he said, we finally beat Medicare. It's getting worse and worse, y'all. It's getting worse and worse. If we want to have a chance against Trump, you got to switch him out. And even if you switch him out at this late date, it might not even be enough to beat Trump, but at least give us a fighting chance. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.